At some point in business, it is inevitable that there will be a breach of contract. And when that takes place, that means that a lawsuit or litigation might come knocking at your door. So I want to give you 4 tips that you can implement now and in your business that will help you have some legal safeguards in place just in case it happens. But first, let me introduce myself. I am Shayla Jackson. I am a trademark and business attorney, and I'm also the founder and chief legal counsel of Legacy Legal and Consulting Firm. So, if you are listening to this is me talking to you, sharing with you some key business practical strategies that you can put in place now that will help you just in case litigation comes knocking on your door later. Now, don't overlook this. This is something that has very, very dire consequences for you if you do not put this in practice. And here's why. I trained as a trial attorney. And so I was responsible for prepping my clients for trial, gathering evidence, even interviewing witnesses and taking witness statements. And so there's something called the rules of evidence. This is how you get evidence into court. So for many of you, you may have this misconception that you can just argue your point in court and introduce documents to the court. But that is not always the case. When you are in federal court or outside of small claims court, the rules of evidence are particular laws that you have to follow in order to introduce evidence into court. And so oftentimes what happens is that if our evidence are text messages and it's been years, those text messages have been deleted or are long gone. The same with photos and videos and other key pieces of evidence, even testimony, that your recollection of events that happened years ago may not be as fresh. So I want to give you some practical business strategies that you can implement in your business that will help you down the road just in case if there's a breach of contract or there's some type of conflict, that you will have the evidence you need to prove your case, but hopefully win your case. All right. So, practical business strategy and tip number 1 is save your text messages, photos, and any videos you have with clients. You want to store it somewhere, preferably in the cloud where it won't be deleted. So as you are interacting with clients, whether you're texting them or if, say, for instance, your business requires you to be at an event, maybe you are speaking, perhaps you are providing service somewhere, you want to take photos, particularly if a key part of the contract term is you arriving at a certain time. Take a photo or a video of you arriving. Take videos of the event. Take videos of you doing things. Take videos of your setup. Take videos even when you leave, or photos. Now, why is this important? No, it's just a photo or video. The metadata will show the date and time. The metadata will show the date and time, which means that if a point of contention is you didn't show up on time, but you took a photo, now we can use the evidence of the metadata to prove and back up your argument that you did show up on time. So you want to store it in the cloud, somewhere where it won't be deleted. Now, typically there is a rule of 3s. You store it in 3 different places. But in our digital age where we're constantly running out of space, find a place where you can store all of your files digitally. And hopefully if you have a client management system stored with the files for your clients. Now, there is another reason why you do this, and I mentioned it before. I currently have a resource called 8 copy and paste contract clauses that essentially, if you don't have one of these clauses that I include in this resource, you are at the mercy of the court, meaning there's something called statute of limitations. That means that there is a set period of time where someone can sue you. After that period of time has passed, now they are typically barred from bringing a lawsuit. But that statute of limitations can be different per state. It can be 5 years. It can be 10 years. And let's just say 3 years. After 3 years, your memory of events are not as clear. Again, evidence may not be available. And if you had witnesses that could help back up your story, they might not have a good recollection of events. I recently spoke to a witness for a breach of contract client of mine, and it was only a few months that had passed between the event and when I interviewed them, and their recollection was not good. They couldn't remember key details. It was very vague. Now, if that's just a couple of months, imagine if it's been 3 years. You don't want to lose key witnesses for your case. So again, have client folders where you upload documents that will help you prove if anything were to go wrong. The second business practical tip that you can implement is document phone conversations in writing. This is the key follow-up. I have seen this time and time again where someone has a phone conversation, but there's no written evidence that the conversation took place. And so now we have he say, she said, and if it's different, anybody can say something that you said something different. And how many of us have had miscommunication? You said something, they heard something completely different. So you want to follow up in writing. And it shouldn't, it can be very quick. Here is a snippet. You can just clearly say, thanks for speaking with me today. I'm writing to summarize our conversation and make sure we are on the same page moving forward. If anything you read is incorrect, respond back and let me know. Now, the respond back can be respond back within 7 days and let me know. That way, you put a time limit for them to respond so they understand, don't leave this for months. This requires your attention. That way, when someone says something different, you have evidence of the phone conversation so that it doesn't come back to bite you in the butt. Another tip is make sure if you have someone working with you that they document in writing their work with the client. And you should document your work with the client too. And so it can be something like a work log, or you can put it in your client management system. And this includes what work that you do, the actions that were taken, along with the date, and maybe time may be important. And this help, and then clearly identify who the writer and action taker is. So if you emailed a person the contract, you would just put in your system the date. You will put your name, email, contract to client. Boom, that's it. That way, if there's ever a question that you did not deliver on the deliverables of the contract, or they didn't receive something, you can go back to your work log 3 years later and say, oh, here it is. Now, here's why it's important that work log can be important. Because if your memory is not good of what happened 3 years later, and particularly if you don't have my contract clause in your contract that will help prevent you from having to wait 3 years for a potential issue to pop up, then first and foremost, that work log could be used to refresh your recollection, but also it could be used as evidence submitted to the court because you were keeping track of it in real time. So ideally, you want a system in place that will electronically tag the date and time that the entry was logged. That's because now you have something to back it up as evidence that you weren't creating this on the whim. You were creating it in real time. And there's an electronic system, a log that shows it. And if for whatever reason that you're going to be changing systems or you're concerned, then at the end of a client case, print out a copy of the work log and upload it into the cloud, into their client file. That way you always have a copy. You always have a copy. Now, the last tip that I want to give you is that for some of you, you can sense when somebody's going to be an issue. You just know when somebody's going to be a trouble client. And so a practical business tip that I want to give you is, first and foremost, when you know someone is going to be a problem, if it's before you sign the contract, it is better to walk away before the people problem becomes a legal problem. This is something that I have said many, many times before. This may be your first time hearing it, but legal problems start as people problems. The person didn't pay the invoice. The person did not do what they said they were going to do. The person decided to curse you out and show their behind. This is a people problem. And if you're not dealing with the people problem at the business level, it becomes a legal problem when there's a breach of contract, they stop communicating, they stop paying, or they just acting a fool. And so you want to make sure that in your practical business practices that you are paying attention to when people are not a good fit for your business. So then you're not paying to deal with legal problems when you could have nipped it at the bud in the beginning as a people problem. So these are 4 practical strategies that you can implement in your business now to make sure that if there is a breach of contract later on, that you have yourself covered. Now, if you are like, I need my contract reviewed. If you're like, whoa, I need something in there to make sure I'm not waiting 3 years for someone to pop up and sue me, then check out the 8 copy and paste contract clauses. 8 copy and paste contract clauses. It is available for you to grab, download, copy and paste it into your contract and add in the necessary information that's unique to your business so that you are protected. And for some of you, you may want a personal touch. And so you can contact legacylegalconsult.com for a contract tune-up if you already have a contract. But if you don't have a contract in place, so we can't tune up your contract, then we can draft one for you from scratch. Now, if you're not in a location where we can help you with your contracts, then I have an alternative for you, and just reach out, or you can go to our website at www.legacylegalconsult.com and look at our resources tab, and there you will see resources for you to get access to what you need to protect yourself with contracts, but also be wise with your legal protection. That is all. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, make sure that you share this. Make sure that you like, make sure that you subscribe if you're on YouTube listening to this, so that other people know that this is good content. And comment as well. Comment to share that you took some principles from this and that you're going to implement these strategies, because if you do, it is going to be a huge help if you end up in court years down the road. Now, I know I said I gave you 4 tips, but there was one that just came to my mind. And so quickly, I'm going to give it to you. And it's this. If you need to terminate a contract and you're having issues with someone, before you terminate that contract, you want to keep a log of problems that you've had with that individual. Again, an electronic system that will tag the date. Keep a log of it. Now, don't just keep a log, also do written communication. So that way you are letting them know, hey, this is a problem behavior for us. This is, we have outlined in our contract. And you can even tell them this clause, this section that says this. For example, if communication is an issue, please refer to this part of the contract about communication. We would like to work with you, but however, you have been non-responsive. Now, I know there's a whole little communication, don't make people defensive by using the you language. So, maybe use ChatGPT to brush it up and be nicer and, be well received. But you want to document problem behavior, document it in your system electronically, and also email it to them. That way, when it gets to the termination stage and it's time for you to terminate that contract, you have a written history and documentation of them breaching the contract, not just once, but over and over and over again. So though now I'm complete with the tips. Again, I am Shayla Jackson, trademark and business attorney, also the CEO and founder of Legacy Legal and Consulting Firm, where we help you protect your brand, build a legacy, and secure your wealth. If you enjoyed this, make sure that you subscribe if you're on YouTube, follow if you're on other channels. Make sure you comment, share this, make it known that this was information that you found helpful. And of course, check out our resources at www.legacylegalconsults.com.